Thank you, Mr. Kennedy, and welcome to everyone. Our meeting today is intended to deepen the speech of Chiara Lubich, which she presented at the occasion of her honorary doctorate in pedagogy, awarded to her by the Catholic University of Washington on November 10, 2000, for the wonderful lessons that she gave to the world by word and example. For those who were connected last November 21st, 2020, in commemoration of the 20th anniversary of that reception of her honorary doctorate in education, you would probably agree with me that though it was such an enchanting event to follow the wonderful fruits of Chiara Lubich's pedagogic ideas and practices going on around the globe, the program was so dense and we actually felt overfed. It was too much to be digested in one day. For this reason, we are here to start breaking it down into steps, which in fact is the way she understood things and also taught them step by step. We shall deepen it in 6 steps, the way she presented them. We have planned to take 1 step in every 2 months, as you would soon see in further programs. At the beginning of that doctorate reception speech, Chiara Lubich delineated the different key ideas of the spirituality of unity. These are words that invite one to stop and reflect, and then take a look at our educational realities from the perspective of unity and communion. These key ideas seem to constitute the basic principles of a new way of looking at pedagogy. In fact, as Chiara underlines at Washington, a movement can also be viewed from a theological, philosophical, cultural, economic, or educative standpoint, as well as from an ecumenical or interreligious perspective. Today, we shall deepen the first among the 6 most significant points of this spirituality, which have had an impact in the area of education. 20 years after, we are discovering them to be very vital and resourceful in the light of the numerous challenges we all are facing today. The first, as seen on the invitation, deals with leadership, which has its roots in God, who is love, described by her as the educator par excellence. It is a kind of leadership that generates and transforms. This theme on transformative leadership would be developed by Professor Mbai and Dr. Michelon, followed by 2 ongoing life experiences in Africa. We shall then break up into groups, after which we shall have a feedback from some of the groups, followed by a few general impressions and closing remarks. Let us discover it together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Marilyn, for that powerful introduction. This introduction has practically set the tone for our entire meeting. I picked out one statement. Leadership has its roots from God, who is love. To proceed, we are going to another session where Professor Bae will make an introduction, or rather will take us through the first part of the topic on transformative leadership. Professor Bae is a Kenyan and member of the Focolare movement. He's a retired professor of education at Catholic University of Eastern Africa, Nairobi, Kenya, where he served as Vice Chancellor. He sits on the board of Together for New Africa. This is a Sophia University-based leadership program for young people. He's also the main representative of the New Humanity NGO, the United Nations office, in its newly established office in Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome, Professor Mbai.
Thank you, Kennedy, for that introduction, and welcome all to this presentation on transformative leadership. For Chiara Lubich, all aspects of life have their origin in God, who is love. This is true of politics, it is true of history, of economics, of education, and yes, of leadership too. But we have all seen or heard about leaders that could hardly be associated with God and His goodness. So what kind of leadership is Chiara thinking about? In 2010, a man called Robin Sharma wrote a book entitled The Leader Who Had No Title. To many people, that very notion seemed to contradict the commonly held view that leadership is a position of authority within an organization or in society. In this view, to be a leader is to be in a position of authority, of power. Others understand leadership from the standpoint of making decisions, giving commands and directions. Then there are those who define leadership merely as influence. Transformative leadership may be defined as the capacity to develop a vision for the future and to inspire others to support that vision by working towards its realization or actualization. On the surface of it, this kind of leadership, transformative leadership, would seem to be in direct contradiction with traditional African leadership and practices as guided by Ubuntu culture and values. In the African context, societal morals and values did not change. They were understood to be fixed and absolute. The main responsibility of the leader was to maintain status quo and to ensure that values such as peace, harmony, justice, respect, social cohesion, and unity were observed by all citizens at all times. That is why traditional African leaders would go to any length to dialogue or palaver, just to ensure that there was an agreed settlement to any perceived conflict. Of course, today, Africa has embraced a different style of leadership to suit the modern reality. Whatever our definition of leadership, it is important to distinguish between holding a position of leadership and being a true leader. It is increasingly clear that many who occupy positions of authority and power lack leadership qualities, while there are hundreds and perhaps thousands of individuals who occupy to the issue as it is. Instead, they have a vision and dream of a better world, a more perfect world. They dream of change. And because they are so passionate about their vision, they share it with their subjects and seek to inspire and to motivate them to join in the pursuit of shared vision. Unlike the more traditional perspectives of leadership, which are usually based on a leader's individual characteristics, Transformative and generative leadership focuses on the interactions between leaders and team members with a focus towards building organizations as communities for learning. It has been said that transformative leadership is an everyone, everywhere, everyday leadership. As such, there is a sense in which we are all leaders. More, leadership then, far from being the function of the position that one holds, is better seen as the ability to generate a future that matters and to get others to commit to that future. This is what is known as generative leadership. To live in this way is also to lead. Seen in this therefore, it follows that a leader cannot say one thing and do its opposite. True leadership is seen in the living, not in talking or understood in this way. Leadership becomes a participatory process, a process of creative collaboration, of leadership and transformation for mutual benefit. In her teachings and by her practical living, Chiara Lubich, the foundress of the Focolare movement, gives us an excellent example of a transformative and generative leader who empowers and unites her followers to work towards changing the world, as Jonathan will now demonstrate. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much, Professor Mbaye. That was indeed a very insightful presentation. You have clearly articulated the meaning of transformative leadership and also linked it very well with the generative leadership. I've now understood that true leadership is manifested by living. Let me now invite Dr. Jonathan Michelon to build on the presentation by Professor Mbaye. Dr. Jonathan Michelon holds a doctorate in international education from the University of Infinite World in San Antonio, Texas, in the USA. He is currently undertaking a postdoctorate in youth leadership at Sophia University, where he teaches leadership. Jonathan has taught for several years in the US at university and community college level. He is also coordinating FORMAT, a global project for the formation of formators. At the same time, he does consulting and public speaking on the themes of leadership and youth formation. Welcome, Dr. Jonathan.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy, and thank you, Professor. My contribution will focus transformative or interactive coaching. today's module to reflect and write your considerations on the generative part of Lubich's leadership. Your guiding question could be, at the light of what we are learning today, how do we consider Lubich's leadership generative? Do you like the idea? I hope so. But now, let's think for a second, just for a second, about the definition of transformative. Causing a major change or a lasting change in something or someone, a change for the better. Many climbers of the Kilimanjaro that went up to the top, they share that they lived a transformational experience. Something in that experience touched them so deeply that they are not the same anymore of when they left. Here are some synonyms for transformative: life-changing, metamorphic. To another level, people that experience the type of transformative leadership, especially in educational venues, inspired by the thought of Chiara Lubich, affirm that it was indeed an experience of huge transformation. But why it is so? Before suggesting the obvious and proposing of trying, experience teaches, which is certainly an essential prerogative, let's explore the reasons that lie at the basis of a descriptive transformative. Chiara leadership is transformative in its origin. It's a gift, a charism. It's a God-given gift. Everything stems from here. All our considerations, everything that we're going to say comes from this gift. Every God-given charism tends to transform reality. God is a transformative force that can only offer transformative gifts. Let's think about St. Francis and how his gift changed society then and also now. His charism is transformative and still performing now. Number two, it is transformative in the way it is given. It happens in disguise, but it's perfectly timed. It's a transformation within a transformation. In the early 40s, the world is rapidly changing. Fascism, Nazism are conquering Europe on one side. Communism is counterfeiting on the other. The Allied forces are moving in this apocalyptic scenario to free the press. Political thinking is in terms of axes, walls, treaties, sides. While all of this is taking place in a dark and humid cellar, shaken by the bombs, there is another transformation happening. The transformative leadership of unity is coming into light. The first one is apparent. The second one is unexpected. The second one is the vaccine against the first. Number three, it is transformative in the subjects exercising leadership. It's all about we, it's all about us. It's not anymore about me. It's a paradigm shift, moving from a single leader to a team of leaders, a team of people that are experiencing life together, sharing every decision they're making. Number four, it is transformative in its gender. It's women power. Not only this leadership's view, it's about a group of people, but a group of women, of young women. The transformative leadership or co-leadership of unity is in the hands, at least in the early stages, of women. It is transformative in his view. In the view, they see natural and supernatural realities. God is not anymore a judge. God is love. And his tender care is present in the everyday life. The others are not anymore a bother, but they are somebody to love. They are somebody to share life with, and somebody that we can outpour our love. They are somebody to be generated as co-leaders. They become co-leaders because of our love. It is transformative in its goal. Only one goal. The goal is unity, that they all may be one. It is transformative in the literature that Chiara's and her first companions are using. Only one small book, the Gospel, in which are contained the key concepts that they will be using all their lives, such as unity, dialogue, service, sacrifice, courage, togetherness, care, equality, equity. But at this point, let's ask ourselves, what does transformative leadership have to do with education? How does Chiara's transformative leadership relate to education? For transformative leaders in education, the aim is clear. It's to bring unity, to be at the service of unity in the realm of education. The first is an educational leadership that aims to generate and unite a learner's study and life, as evidence in the lasting impact beyond the defined educational moment, connecting the multiple dimensions of a learner's. The Enlightenment paradigm, which placed reason at the center of the intellectual discourse, shaped education itself, as well as models of teaching and learning. Scientific reasoning became the means and the end to the educational process. Learners were valued exclusively for their ability to reason, to retain information, to process information intellectually. Such an educational philosophy reinforced a gap, a dichotomy within learners, a division between reason and heart, between mind and body. Such a dichotomy tends to reduce the educative process to one simple dimension, the intellectual, at the expense of the experiential, spiritual, ethical, and emotional. In contrast, Lubich's transformative leadership in education fosters a holistic perspective, validating dimension of learning beyond the purely theoretical or academic, including the development of all other aspects of human experience. Separating the academic and the affective phases of the educational experience in theory or in practice produces an altered and an imbalanced learning experience in which educational discourse portrays the learner in an inhuman context, not educating the learner as a whole, but causing academic incompleteness and deviant behaviors. The educational process must be centered on human beings in their wholeness, not only on the fulfillment of their intellectual dimension. The second issue, it is the need for an interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary model, a cross-disciplinary cooperation which would not merely compile knowledge within particular discipline, but integrates and unites different disciplines into a mutual relationship, fostering a fruitful, constant exchange among them. The third issue, at the heart of transformative leadership, calls for a 360 degrees dialogue at all levels between and among professors and students and administrators. Deep dialogue and cooperation must be nurtured, and it's the key. In sum, transformative leadership in the sphere of education fosters and offers an educational model that links academic study and life. This new perspective proposes a unifying vision of knowledge through interdisciplinary and transdisciplinary collaboration and dialogue among disciplines, encouraging open dialogue among faculty and students in academic community. In conclusion, transformative leadership is at the heart of Chiara's charisma. It transforms everything it comes in touch with. It brings unity, which is a pressing need, maybe the pressing need of our times, starting with what we love the most, to educate. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Michelon. That was a wonderful presentation. Thank you so much. It is worth underlining from your presentation that leadership is a gift from God. You have also shown us how Chiara's leadership is transformative from various perspectives. So moving forward, we have another session coming on where we are going to watch a video which will give us some insight on the program named Together for New Africa. This is a Sophia University-based leadership program for young African men and women who are seeking to make a real difference in the governance of their continent. This program enjoys support of the Folklore movement and of the New Humanity International NGO. Let us sit back, watch, and enjoy the presentation.
We are together for New Africa. Nous sommes ensemble pour une nouvelle Afrique. Turi hamwe ku bwa Afrika nshasha.
The idea of come back together for New Africa came when we were at Sophia University with the other young people from Africa studying in Sophia Lopiano. There we are discussing about African challenges. And we said we are living a good experience here in Sophia, but how can we transmit this experience to other young people from Africa? We organized a training where we invited young people coming from 7 countries: Burundi, Rwanda, Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, RDC, Congo, and South Sudan. 107 young people accompanied by their tutors. It was also important to know the composition, because that was the key. So the first challenge was division. For instance, the relation between our countries. Burundi and Rwanda are not talking each other. Congolese and the Rwandese, they know that like enemies. To see all of them sitting together, discussing and discovering how beautiful they are. This was for us a first challenge. And now go through also how to become a leader. It means to build this dialogue. We need to be bridge, not break dialogue. That is the point to start, because the project is for 3 years.
Donc j'ai vu que je dois porter ma part.
I understood that I too can do my part by putting into practice the values they taught us, the value of Ubuntu, the value of listening, of behaving as wise people. We talked a lot about wisdom. I understood that through these values we can build up new behaviors for a new Africa.
We're at the beginning, but you can see how what our objective is have been achieved in some way, even if the way is still long.
New Africa.
Wow, what a colorful presentation that was. Indeed, we now have a clear idea of the very noble objective of Together for New Africa. And while still in this, let's remember to mute our microphones, please. While still in this spirit, we'll listen to an experience that will be shared by Isaac Charo. Isaac Charo is a student from Kenya and has actively participated in Together for New Africa. He has been involved in church leadership and is also an aspiring politician. Let us hear more from this experience of Isaac. The technical team will share it via video. Thank you.
My name is Isaac Chiara from Meru, and I'm a student from T4NA, Kenya. I really want to appreciate the fact that I was considered one of the members of T4NA since it started in 2018. First of all, I want to say that during these years, I have been involved in various types of leadership. For example, as a church leader in my parish and also in politics. I have participated in the 2017 elections when I was vying for a post of MCA in the Kenyan government administration. I am the chairman of Board of Management in my local primary school and also a member of the Board of Management in Kiamori Day and Secondary School, which is also in my locality. This school has transformed me a lot in my leadership and practices and skills. For example, regarding humility, I was so surprised because in a normal African setup, there is a clear difference between the seniors and the juniors. The seniors will sit at different tables and drive big cars and so on. But in T4NA, you could not see who was a junior or who was a senior. In transformative leadership, you have to be humble. You have to sit with all kinds of people and eat with them. I have learned this through T4NA. It also taught me how to live in coexistence with other people. For example, before I joined this project, I was not elected as the vice chair of the choir in our parish, which is a very big parish of the Catholic Church. When I had to explain things in my parish or elsewhere, I realized that I am dealing with the people of different experiences and ages, different social backgrounds and religious beliefs. They all have to coexist together. Through T4NA, I have learned how to make these different people feel equal and to live together in harmony under the same umbrella. And therefore, when I accepted the post of vice chair, I knew I was able to lead this big group very well. I also want to say that it has taught me a lot of determination and love. Determination because since I was not able to successfully win the seat of MCA in my first attempt, the encouragement from the members of the T4NA from all countries and specifically in my country, Kenya, is still instilling a lot of power in me and a lot of determination to vie for the seat again. And because of the skills that I have learned, I am very sure I am going to win. Love because from the beginning of the school, they talked about it. Love is paramount in leadership. If you love as a leader, you cannot discriminate people. The political leaders in Africa they do not love the people, but I have learned how to do this. The last thing I would want to say is that it has also assisted me in being a leader and a role model in the community where I live. In my home, in my family, and in place of work. For example, I have been helping the children in children's home. I have given assistance to street children, and even I have been helping the pupils in my local primary school where I went as a boy. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. Let us thank Isaac Chiara for that beautiful experience. We have learned a lot from his sharing. Especially I've picked out something about coexistence with other people. This is what has helped him even in his leadership in the church and what is aspiring in the political leadership. So thank you so much, Isaac. In the next session, we will encounter the Echo for Leaders experience, which will be again shared via video. This might be a new term for some. Echo for Leaders is a higher training school for leaders to unity in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Its mission is to offer to the DRC, Africa, and the whole world a series of leaders that have a spirit of excellence and universal brotherhood in the management of services, goods, and employees. It was born from the initiative of the political movement for unity. It has set itself as a concrete social objective to form non-tribalist and non-corruptible leaders in all fields. This institution also works in schools by forming a leadership model based on unity and the pedagogy of Chiara Lubich, rooted in the love that aims at the personal inner transformation of man so that it influences and positively transforms the world around him. So at this point, I will welcome the technical team to share this video.
When I promise so far to be when I am, it matters in my future, bring mystery. Wouldn't know is that I'm on my way to become tomorrow part of the industry. But I got a big question. One big day will come when my soul shine. Will I be on top, on top, on top?
A new school for the formation of leaders was born in Congo. It is a school of higher education for the formation of leaders of collaboration and communion, Echo for Leader of the Focolana movement. The opening ceremony of the school was on Saturday, 8th of July at the Italian Culture Center, located in the municipality of Barumbo, in the presence of many scientific, political and religious personalities. In many African cultures, the birth of a child is announced with the sound of drums. The birth of Echo for Leader has been accompanied by many rituals. Many have accompanied this creature with joy, and many want to accompany it so that it grows for the good of the human community. The Echo for Leader Higher Education School for Community Leaders is a child of the MPPU Congo, which is the Congolese political movement for unity, launched on 20 October 2016 by 2 deputies. This experience coincided with the launch of the Together for a New Africa project, promoted by young African scholars from the University of Sofia and supported by the leaders of the Focolare movement in Africa.
When the political movement for unity celebrated its 20th anniversary, the Honorable Georgiane Madiko and I were invited to Italy and participated in the meeting. Various politicians shared their experiences, and we, as men and women politicians, said to each other, there is no politics without love. There is no politics without fraternity. We thought it would be interesting to share this experience in Congo as well. Once we started, other people joined us because we needed to train young people, train leaders. We thought we needed to set up this school of leaders that work in collaboration and communion.
We will start short university courses that will allow us to train young people through modules. We will proceed as a spider web that will cover the entire country and all fields. This cobweb will serve to support, if not to eradicate, at least to mitigate the evil in our society.
We would like to prepare a youth that is not afraid like us. Certainly, we have not done much for our country. Perhaps we have not been trained, and this is the reason for our fear. For this reason, we want to train young people motivated to do good, who are able to denounce, announce, and renounce. Young people who, faced with the bipolarization of the Congolese political space, can say we must work for our nation. An educated youth can influence society with their way of behaving. The promoting committee is made up of various people.
When I promise so far to be when I am, it matters in my future, bring mystery. Wouldn't know is that I'm on my way to become tomorrow.
We send our thanks to the brothers and sisters of the Focolare movement who will support us and who support us, and above all, the grace that Chiara Lubich will help us to obtain so that this school can be promoted in our country that needs it so much. As the authorities, journalists, teachers, and various people who are enrolling say, and who believe in it. We thank you, and we're waiting for you in Congo to experience yourself the school, which will start on the 6th of October 2017. Thank you so much.
When I promise so far to be when I am, it matters in my future, bring mystery. Wouldn't know is that I'm on my way to become tomorrow part of the industry.
Thank you very much. Very nice video from Professor Felicien. Professor Felicien Mkafu is an academic secretary of the Catholic University of Kinshasa and the National University of Pedagogy in the DRC. He's also the director of the Eco for Leaders project and a member of the Focolare movement. He's going to share with us an experience. Welcome, Prof.
Merci. Bon après-midi à tout le monde.
Why Eco Leaders was born? Today's Congo is a state, a society, a people with deep divisions and roots, who is in a global crisis whose cause is found in the depths of man. It's in the hearts of the individual Congolese and then collectively. Hence, the social phenomena of corruption and tribalism are the most emblematic scourges that destroy society and must be fought. It is for this reality that this school was born with a specific educational mission to offer the DRC to Africa and the world thanks to a rigid, high-level theoretical and practical training based on love, a series of leaders that are formed and imbued with the spirit of excellence and universal brotherhood in the management of services, goods, and their employees. What is the specific objective of ECHO for leaders? Although born from the initiative of the political movement of unity, the higher training school for leaders or to unity has set itself as a concrete social objective to form non-tribalist and non-corruptible leaders, not only in the political field, but in all fields: teachers, managers, state officials, jurists, doctors, artists, entrepreneurs, architects, media, and religious men, members of political parties of all trends, actors of society, such as city movements, and etc. We all work in schools by forming a leadership model based on unity and the pedagogy of Chiara, rooted in the love that aims at the personal inner transformation of men so that it influences and positively transforms the world around him. Aware of the decisive role of education in terms of knowing how to do and be able to face the many challenges of today's world, ECHO for Leaders has also decided to train young leaders to unity and peacemakers in schools. It links with this formation the trainers of the trainers, in particular, all the director of the schools of the social project Little Flame and of some schools of the Protestant network, as well as those of the so-called revival churches and Baha'i faith. The secret of the success of the ECHO for Leaders. Chiara's leadership of unity with all her means and tools can be summed up in the art of loving applicable in all sectors. To better understand this leadership model in our African context, we also refer to the cultural and anthropological paradigm of Ubuntu. In fact, a triple meaning of leadership emerges from this paradigm: service leadership, shared leadership, and participatory leadership that transforms people individually and collectively. This transformation also affects family life, bus group of life groups, and professional families. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Felicien. Merci beaucoup. From your experience, we have learned a lot. It was a good exposition. And actually, from such sharing, we are able to learn from one another and thus improve our output as stakeholders in the education sector. And now this brings me back to where I was when I had unfortunately skipped the presentation of Professor. And that is our time to have a breakaway session, that is some group activity. This will provide us with an opportunity to deepen our understanding on what has been presented so far, especially on transformative leadership.